Well, hello, friends. Glad you could join us. Welcome to what is a new season of the CCRL Elite Tier. No rest for the weary, and, well, you'd absolutely have to be on the lookout in tonight's Grand Prix from the Hungaroring, our first round of the season. Let's take you through our starting grid for this Hungarian Grand Prix. We'll be Hemphead, actually disqualified from the qualifying session at the back end of it, having been disqualified for blocking the pit lane. He'll start 16th. 15th, John the Prince, actually only about 3/100ths behind that of Merck, starting 14th. Owa, 13th. The V-Carb of Pontiac Bandit starting in 12th. R. Manson, 11th. Anyute starting 10th. Sepulveda will be 9th. Curveball in 8th. Shiesty, 7th. Charlie Golf, 6th. DWCJ, 5th. Johnny Damon, 4th. DJE Flat in 3rd in the Ferrari. And it is a Mercedes front row lockout as Reimer lines up behind his teammate, a King Pro player. 10th and a half separating the two. By the way, only the top 6 cars separated by that first second. It goes down to 7.5 tenths back to Charlie Golf in that 6th spot. Everybody else outside of a second and then an additional 10th after that. But brand new season, CCRL, no rest whatsoever for these guys, fresh off of a season last week in Abu Dhabi, the 100% distance Grand Prix. We're back with another one immediately, and that should be a fantastic time. Let's take you through our schedule as we have it right now. It will be that of, obviously, Hungary this week. We'll be going to the Las Vegas City Street Strip Circuits, that's a lot of words, on September 11th, next Wednesday. We'll go to Coda, September the 18th for a sprint race weekend. September 25th, we go to Monza for round number 4. October 2nd, round 5, go to Portimao. Should be a fun one. Round number 6, we head to the Autodromo Jose Carlos Pache in Sao Paulo, Brazil on October the 9th. October the 16th, my father's birthday as well. For the Monaco circuit. That should be absolutely incredible. That's round 7. Round number 8, it's another sprint race weekend. This will be at the Imola circuit for the Emilia-Romagna Grand Prix. October 30th will be the Suzuka International Racing Course. Round number 9, round 10 will be Miami on November the 6th. November 13th for round 11 will be Canada. The Montreal, what's the official name of it? The Circuit Gilles Villeneuve, Montreal, Quebec, Canada. November 27th, round number 12, Singapore, the Marina Bay Street Circuit. December 4th, getting into the final 3 races of the season, we head to the Shanghai Circuit in China. December the 4th for round 13th. The penultimate round of the season, December 11th, we head to Baku. And then finally, for the final round of the season, it's a 100% distance Grand Prix from the circuit Spa-Francorchamps in Belgium. For round number 15, that's December 18th, as I've said. What a schedule. This is going to be a lot of difficult and demanding tracks on this schedule. That should be one that you definitely want to stay tuned for. But, it has to be said, we've got ourselves 17 cars out on track, 3 minutes, and that was about 4 minutes ago. So, we should be getting ready to go here any second now, as 17 of CCRL's best line up and look to tame a track that is often referred to as Monaco without the barriers. But I do love this track, and I'll tell you why. It doesn't always provide the best racing in real life, but when we get to the game like this, and it's a very tight and treacherous track that makes you make some unorthodox moves, risky moves that normally you wouldn't need to make. On this track, it really forces the best out of these drivers on the grid. It makes you see the talent and concentration and skill of the drivers on track here when they're being forced into these uncomfortable positions, trying to make the moves to gain positions, and otherwise would either only be gained with strategy or with DRS. This 14-corner track should provide some fantastic racing here. It always does. Anytime I visit this with any league that I commentate, always a very fun one. And here we are. The lights turning on now. 3, 4, and eventually 5. For the first time of this brand new CCRL season, we are underway. It is the pair of the Mercedes leading them off the line. King Pro player, actually Reimer, has gotten a better start than his teammate there. They're going to be side by side as they make their way down the hill and into the first corner. 2 by 2 they go. Whoa, the Haas! Who is that? That's Shiesty way around the outside. Lots of cars going wide at the first corner, hoping that everybody's gotten through it okay, but it's DJE Flat side by side now with Charlie Golf as they make their way down the hill through turn number 2. It appears we've got a Sauber of Johnny Damon, who, I don't know why he's this far up the grid, according to the game, should have been starting 16th. There we go. He's fixed it now. Johnny Damon to second. Hemphead has actually now got a 10-second penalty for cutting a corner and gaining an advantage, according to the game. Not a way to be. But it is that of Reimer leading the charge here by some interval over Johnny Damon. Third King Pro player, as we have a yellow flag at the back. Anyute has gone round. Thankfully, it doesn't appear that he's hit anything, but still not ideal whatsoever. It's about an even even split between those who have decided to go medium and hard tonight. The two Mercedes fellas on different strategy, that's always good. You don't really like to see conflicting strategies in these circumstances, because when that happens, and you have these double stack scenarios that these drivers get themselves into, it doesn't very work well in the game. I like to refer to it as the pit crews in this game, more like Ferrari in real life. 15 to 22, that's going to be your pit window. Reimer leads them down the pit straight for the first time. DRS will be activated. They will not have it until next time by. There's only the one detection zone for the two DRS parts of this track. This is coming out of now turn 1, the second DRS section down the hill in towards turn 2. So they'll get it next time by. They'll have to be within 1 second of the car ahead when they come out of turn 13 and entering turn 14. That little green dot on the bottom corner of the mini-map there, that is the detection point. It's at that point where race control or the game, whatever it is, decides, hey, that person will get DRS. Reimer leads them up the hill through turn 5, into the worst chicane in Formula 1, or at least a handful of them, as I like to call them. It's this one, it's the Newville chicane, it's the one in Miami, it's the one it used to be in Spain. All definitely get added to that list. Reimer leading them around. This is a track that I expect Reimer to thrive at. Of course, he did qualify second alongside his teammate, a King Pro player. Of course, it was only a 10th difference between the two. But has to be said, Reimer, a guy that likes downforce and likes to have good control of his car, is, I think, going to be in a world of pleasure tonight. I think this is going to be certainly a track that he does enjoy, and that he will continue to enjoy as long as he stays out ahead. But the question is now, can Johnny Damon close the gap to the Mercedes ahead as they make their way down the pit straight? Only 3/10 of a second, the gap, as we now have a virtual safety car, and I'm wondering who is the one that's brought it out. I believe is Merck. Merck is not missing front wing. It is that of Scheisty, who is the culprit here. Seems as if he's gone around going up through turn 5. Now that curb at turn 5, will go along with you there. Actually going through turn 2 down the hill. You see that gray curb on the inside? That gray curb right there? That stuff will send you for a spin. And that is basically what it is on the inside of turn 5. We'll show you when you get up there. But you make contact with that curb, you're probably going to be spun around. That absolutely has to be said. This is turn 4 here. Very difficult corner, that. This is turn 5 now. You can see the gray curve on the inside. That is what drivers from time to time will lose the car on, and I think that could be the culprit there for the spun and crash toss of Scheisty. But the virtual safety car neutralizing this field. Reimer will stay top of the table for the time being. Let's go over positions gained and lost. Reimer up a spot. Johnny Damon up 2 spots as Scheisty picks up a 10er for speeding into the pit lane, and he's officially retired. So his start to the CCRL season ends within 3 laps. Pontiac Bandit, Owa, Hemphead, and John the Prince all up at least 3. Hemphead's actually up 5 since having been disqualified from the qualifying session and then starting at the rear of the grid. As far as biggest movers in the negative direction, Agnote and R. Manson both down 3 apiece. King Pro player down 2. I don't think he's had the best start, really. Either that or Damon's kind of just sent it in there. That's kind of my second guess as to what's happened. But back to green flag racing now. Reimer will lead them down the pit straight. Johnny Damon trying to close his way in here using his battery. Has flicked it off. Let's see if he's going to try to send it to the inside. He's going to run out of room, but I think as long as he can stay within that gap, he'll maybe have an opportunity to get Reimer down the hill into turn 2. It's a very difficult corner, this, to try to overtake him, because you try to go around the outside, that then funnels you and compromises your line going through this turn 3 here, and I think that's why Johnny Damon has not made that decision. You take turn 3 wrong, you end up on the exit curb there, maybe even into the grass, and into the barrier is your next stop. Through turn 4, up the hill. It's a difficult one, that, especially with how track limits kind of doesn't extend on the outside. You have to be careful going through there. I expect we're going to see some black and white flags displayed. Through the chicane now, again, terrible chicane. Exits going through turn 8 and 9 now. Through turn 10, this left-hander, turn 11, the right-hander, and then down the hill towards turn 12. And eventually 13 after that. Sometimes we see drivers hit that wall on the outside. It's not happened now. The right-hander, turn 12. Sometimes if a driver gets desperate, you'll see a move be made there, but I think for the time being, it's relatively calmed down. The top 7 have actually pulled away quite significantly from the back half of the grid. Curveball is now a 5-second deficit to the rest of the top 7 cars, and that is kind of where we see the separation of the 2 packs. Curveball leading his teammate of Pontiac Bandit by about 0.7 of a second. Down the pit straight they go. Johnny Damon once again is unable to challenge Reimer into the first corner. King Pro player files in behind. I think King Pro, for the time being, just kind of wants to be in a spot where if Johnny Damon makes a mistake or he goes too hard in trying to overtake his King Pro's teammate, he'll be able to capitalize. Charlie Golf in this as as well. Charlie Golf slightly on the outside looking in right now, doesn't seem to be pulling the pace, similar to the drivers ahead of him, but who is definitely not pulling the pace at the moment is that of Pontiac Bandit. Oh, and he's going to swing around, and he's going to lose the front wing as well, and I think he's lost it. Is that a bit of carbon fiber? Was that there on the outside, exiting the first corner? I think double dosage of destructive damage for Pontiac Bandit. Hemphead's taken Owa around the outside through turn 5. That is not a move you see very often. You don't really see anything happen in turn 5. But what I can tell you is this Owa is missing a hell of a lot of the front wing on the right front of that car. Maybe was that the carbon fiber that we did see exiting turn 1. I don't know where along the line he has lost it. But let me tell you something. On a track where you need as much downforce as you can get, this is not helpful. Down to the inside, he'll be overtaken by John the Prince, and I'm assuming his teammate of Agnote will be through as well. Yep, there he goes. Oh, wow, doing the right thing there. Down the pit straight they go yet again. Of course, a 35-lap Grand Prix this. We've got 30 laps to go. Johnny Damon has a small peak to the inside. Not really going to look for it for the time being. King Pro player, I think actually quite close to Johnny Damon, may have a look this time by. And I thought he was going to. He's actually not really close, to tell you the truth. Oh, onto the pit lane. Agnote maybe trying to send it around the outside of John the Prince, performing a little bit of a switchback here. He'll get good acceleration out of turn 1. John the Prince, I think, has gotten a little bit squirrely, but he's going to be a little too far ahead for Agnote's liking, and that move won't be made this time. So Reimer leads them going through the chicane. King Pro player behind by about 0.4 of a second to Johnny Damon. After that, it's just the one-on-one battle between the two teammates. Remember, that's how it was last time out as well. Final round of last season. King Pro player, I think, kind of got done in by strategy, but very quick driver this. I definitely think this is a guy you got to look out for and maybe find yourself as one of the, I would say, early favorites to run for a championship this year, has to be said. I think he's got to get around his teammate. I think this pairing here between the two Mercedes drivers is one of the best teammates partnerships on the grid. The question is will they get in each other's way? These are two very quick drivers, both of which I think could be vying for championships at the end of the season. Hopefully, this is not a Hamilton and Rosberg scenario, because I think it very well could go that way. Down the hill they go, looking for turn 2. Reimer still leads Johnny Damon 2.5 of a second. I don't think Damon is going to be looking to make that move for the time being. Agnote does get around John the Prince, at least this time in a turn 1. Remember, he was trying to size up that move on the last go-around, couldn't quite make it. But now, well, I tell you what, Johnny Damon was right close there to Reimer. I think maybe as he either lost some ground or backed off, I don't know. King Pro player got within 1.5 there. He is really breathing down the neck of Johnny Damon as they make their way through turn 8, 9, and eventually 10 after that. Meanwhile, DJ E Flat looking at the back end of Charlie Golf. I think DJ E Flat will have a fair look this time going down the pit straight. He will have DRS. Charlie Golf doesn't look like he will have it. Going through turn 12, turn 13 after this. Charlie Golf needs to make up another 1/10 of a second as we have Agnote, who is retired, and that is on track as well. That will be a safety car. He's done that exiting turn number 8. Slightly unorthodox place to go off this, but if we look with Merck, we can maybe have a bit of an idea where that car has gone off track. So that's 6 and 7, the chicane. This is turn 9 and going into 10. Wow, where has he actually done that? That's a bit of a weird one. As Owa picks up a drive-through for speeding out of the safety car. But a bit of an odd incident that as Sepulveda into the pit lane. He will probably get a pretty good advantage here considering he's one of the first drivers in onto the hard tires naturally. But Reimer will be the top driver, picking up the queue of the safety car here. We will have a couple of laps behind, I believe, the Aston Martin. What Aston Martin is that? It's not the Vantage. Valkyrie? I don't know. Pontiac Bandit now with a drive-through for speeding on the safety car. Remember, interesting, necessary thing to point out, these drive-throughs cannot be served under safety car. They have to complete them at the nearest green flag lap of the Grand Prix. So I think even coming to the in-lap, not be able to serve that. I think you have to wait for the one after, because I've seen drivers get relatively screwed on that one before as well. It's interesting, we don't see Soxy on the grid. Matter of fact, neither representative from the Williams team on the grid. Who else are we missing here? We've got both Mercedes, we've got both Saubers, we've got both McLarens, we've got both Ferraris, got both Alpines, we've got both V-Carbs, both Red Bulls. I already said the two Mercedes, I think. Just the one Aston Martin of R. Manson. Neither of the Williams. That's 3 and 1 Haas. Those are the 4 that we're missing. So interesting decision this. Reimer has decided to stay out along with Johnny Damon, King Pro Player, and Charlie Golf as Shiesty now leaving the session. This is an interesting call. Maybe is the degradation not high enough to warrant these medium tires coming in? Or I think because what did the game tell us in that menu? Did it say like, 15 to 20 something was the pit window? That is too early, I think, to realistically stop here and have competitive hard tires towards the back end of the Grand Prix. That's a bold call from some of these guys here, especially on the mediums. Reimer, Johnny Damon, Charlie Golf, to name a few. That is a big call for them. And also considering that, well, usually you get an early safety car like this, you're going to pit for the hards if you can. Do they, kind of believe that this is not the opportunity to do so? I don't know. I think maybe it was that Reimer's decision that kind of set that chain of events into play. Because realistically, you get a situation, when you're the leader of a Grand Prix, especially with a safety car or any other strategy, when you got drivers close to you, they will base their strategy off of what you do, whether it's to do it differently or to follow you in. And I think that could have been what's happened with Reimer and the fellow medium tire runners. The safety car on track. We're just waiting for the V-Carb of Pontiac Bandit to get to the back end of the queue here. I believe we probably should go safety car in this time by. We started with 16. We're down to 14 as we're about to begin the 10th lap of the Grand Prix. Well, going through Sector 3 now. The V-Carb's still not there. I am thinking the safety car may stay out another lap. He's got a couple more corners to decide, but usually that Sector 3 line is where the safety car, makes up its mind. Oh, but it's gotten a bit late here, and the safety car will be in this time by. Usually it is that line, Sector 3, is where the safety car makes up its mind. I'm a little surprised it's gone in this late, but here we are. Reimer will lead the queue back round the final corner of turn 14 to go once again green flag racing. Again, DRS will be deactivated until next time by, and even then they won't be able to use it. Reimer will back up the grid as much as he can, and then back on the loud pedal they go down the pit straight. It's a bit jumbled up behind them as the V-Carb of Curveball and Sepulveda, I think, nearly got into it there. But Johnny Damon's going to have a good look here, looking to the inside. Not quite going to get it, but it's Charlie Golf and DJE flat side by side now going through the first corner as they exit. Charlie Golf does not get the good acceleration on the exit curb. The Ferrari is taking him quite well. Johnny Damon nearly, I think, lost that car coming out of turn 1. That car shot way to the inside. Either that or he's trying to break the toe of King Pro Player. We do have side-by-side Merck and Sepulveda. That one was very close. You do not want to go side-by-side through the back end of this first sector. It's just never going to end well. DWCJ, 10th and a half, 2/10 back to Charlie Golf. As Charlie Golf now, will he have a look into the chicane? That would be very bold. I don't think he's going to do it there. Through 6 and 7, 8 after that, 9 to follow. Merck to the back end of Sepulveda, who's got it 0.2 of a second back to Curveball. I think a good exit at a turn 11 or a bad one for another may lead to an overtake happening down into turn 12. As they exit 11, Sepulveda's gone quite wide there. Really... Oh, well, he's absolutely tried it, I think. Either that or he's made somewhat of a mistake. Merck has gone around the outside, nearly, I think, colliding then with Sepulveda. That one did get very close. But coming out of the final corner, DRS will be activated this time by. They will not have it until the 12th lap of the Grand Prix. Or, well, if we're going to get extra specific, the back end of the 11th lap. But down the pit straight they go. King Pro Player sizing up Johnny Damon later on the brakes into the corner. And I think he's going to be able to get this one. He will not have DRS, naturally, as I've explained probably 3 times now. But he has made that position. And now, back to the top 2 are the Mercedes drivers. We've had a bit of moving about going on here. Merck, I believe, being overtaken by Curveball or vice versa. Trying it around the outside through turn 2. Not going to have it. Still has a look to the right side through 3. Very much sizing up Curveball here. John the Prince trying to poke his head into this battle as well. All in the name of trying to get up to that 7th spot, currently occupied by Sepulveda. Exiting turn 5 they go, heading for the chicane. Sepulveda leads by 0.7 of a second. What's important here is Sepulveda now falling off the back of the top 6. 2.5 the gap between that 6th and 7th position. Not ideal. Especially once DRS gets into play. That's going to mean Sepulveda becomes a sitting duck, and that's really the only way to describe it. But now going through, as Johnny Damon's gone quite wide there, going out of turn 12. DRS will be had for all of the top couple of cars here. I think. Nope, I think everybody in the top 6 will be having DRS. That's a massive slide for DWCJ. I'm not sure the errors or, mistakes that he was making, or, well, more difficulties out of that final corner, but that was very close to having gone around. Look at John the Prince sending it to the inside. Bit of bowling there, potentially, as he collects Merc, and Curveball kind of gets out unscathed. I think maybe was that more of an error from John the Prince. I don't think that he mean to dive like that. I don't peg him as the type of driver to make that sort of boneheaded maneuver. Well, it wasn't necessarily boneheaded. I think maybe just a pure mistake. I'm hoping no damage along the right side of Merc's car. It doesn't appear to be. The track stays green. That one was very close to being another Valtteri Bottas incident down into that first corner. Matter of fact, that's almost exactly what it was. Anyways, going through Sector 2 now, Reimer leads the train, 0.4 of a second between himself and his teammate. Johnny Damon under a lot of pressure here from DJ E Flat. A Sepulveda 3-second penalty for multiple warnings. Johnny Damon, again, under a lot of pressure. DJ E Flat, I think, will be having this move, as Johnny Damon will not have DRS to the back end of the two Mercedes cars, leading the queue here. Through turn 13 they go. Johnny Damon 0.4 of a second shy on having that DRS, so the Ferrari Flat here will probably have an easier move. Charlie Golf could probably try to use this to catch up. King Pro Player is actually going to get round his teammate of Reimer, down to the inside, new leader of the Grand Prix. DJ E Flat has gotten around Johnny Damon. Everything else stays the same, I think. However, was it Manton that has just overtaken Curveball for that 8th spot? Heading down the hill now, Sepulveda back within a couple of tenths of DWCJ. It is now R. Manson, the car that's slightly further behind everybody else. The top 2 have a 1.5 second advantage over Flat. The rest of them, I tell you what, very close indeed. It is, though, a little alarming as John the Prince, although I'm assuming the cars we see at the back of the queue here did have drive-thrus to serve, as, well, it is Hemphead as well. I think he's also now joined and left the session a couple of times. Never going to be helpful, that, having connectivity issues. King Pro Player through Sector 2, only 15 1,000 slower. He's definitely putting together some good laps, and I'm thinking those medium tires for Reimer are going to start to feel the pain here shortly, as he is not really staying within reach of his teammate. I mean, he's kind of there. He's going to have DRS, but is he enough to at least still challenge his teammate going through? I don't really think he is. 2.5 of a second. Sepulveda's picked up a lot of acceleration on the inside of the corner there. He's going to be sizing up DWCJ. To the inside they go. Sepulveda, remember, has a time penalty. To the inside later on the brakes is the Sauber, and I think he's going to be able to get it if he gets good acceleration out of turn 1. Oh, he's got a lot of wiggle on the back end. Bit of contact there with the Alpine in question. Side by side, wheel to wheel, going through turn 2. Sepulveda around the outside as DWCJ will file back ahead of the Sauber in question. Good battle there between those two. And still not over yet, as up through turn 4. Sepulveda, he's going to go a little bit wide there. Not going to be helpful for him. The only driver so far to have picked up a 3-second penalty for multiple warnings. King Pro Player and Reimer, 0.3 of a second. Well, just as I started to count Reimer out, he's now back within the window of his teammate here. DWCJ, 0.5 second back to Charlie Golf. Sepulveda all over the rear wing of the Alpine here, currently occupying 6th, vouching and trying to attack for 5th. Down the hill into turn 12. Oh, Sepulveda, well, never mind. I thought he was late on the brakes there. The game kind of lagged a little bit, as you can see. Thought he was later on the brakes, not the case. Through turn 13, eventually 14 after that. Let's just have a look. Top of the grid. I don't think we're going to see any overtakes between the two Mercedes, not this time. Reimer is closing in, though. DJ E Flat actually falling off the back of that battle going on. Charlie Golf looks to the inside. DWCJ is going to try the inside. Oh, he's tried to almost got into the way of Sepulveda. I think he did. He's going to be side by side with Charlie Golf. DWCJ, I think, going to lose position there, but DWCJ was in the midst of trying to defend both lines at one time. He decided to float to the right side, the left side of the circuit, and I think made contact with Sepulveda that sent him off. Sepulveda, I don't believe, has damage. That's a good sign, but he's rather been shoved out of position there inadvertently. You know, that's a difficult thing as a driver because you know that you've got to afford space to the car on the inside, but if you've got one on the outside as well, you're really sandwiched between the two, and contact does happen. I think that's exactly what's going on with DWCJ then. At the line this time will be 20 laps to go. Still a lot of racing left here. Merck, 2.5 tenths behind Curveball, also inviting John the Prince to this battle as well. I think Merck might be on a couple of warnings now. He's gone off track again then. We do now have a 2-second gap between the two Mercedes drivers atop the grid, and one of them is, one reason for that is Reimer on his way into the pit lane. This is, I think, now where we will start to see the pit window open, and there's Johnny Damon, rather a copycat maneuver this, going in and following Reimer into the pit lane. Reimer onto one of those hard tires, as probably expected. Johnny Damon, I believe we're going to be seeing do the same. As side by side, Merck and Curveball. Oh, I tell you what, we're seeing a lot of drivers sliding about exiting that first corner. Just getting on the throttle seems to be very difficult for him here. Sepulveda and Charlie Golf, look at this, side by side through 3. DWCJ follows, a little bit of contact there, up through 4, more contact. DWCJ, will he try the left side? No. The McLaren has gotten rather in his way then. Still side by side now. Great battling here amongst the top 5. DWCJ into the grass. He'll probably argue that Sepulveda's not allowed him a car's width there. I think it's been very close. Well, the fact that Charlie Golf and Sepulveda were able to go side by side up through that section of the track, cool, that takes some skill to do that cleanly. Never mind the fact that this battle's still very much happening. Sepulveda later on the brakes to the inside of Charlie Golf through 12. DWCJ watches on and hopes for another opening, and he won't find it. Charlie Golf stays ahead. Sepulveda drifts high. We'll try to switch low now, maybe potentially a little bit of a switchback, and it's not going to matter because Charlie Golf is into the pit lane, followed by DWCJ. Sepulveda up to third. He does still have DRS. He was within DRS range on Charlie Golf when he pit. That's going to help Sepulveda a lot. R. Manson kind of following in pursuit. Not really going to make any sort of effort there. He's not going to be able to. As we have a yellow flag, Owa's gone round. Nice 360 there, Max Verstappen would say about that. It's actually nearly in the same section of the track as well. Charlie Golf onto the softs. That is not something I thought we were going to see as a car go onto those red-striped soft tires. I think that's either some sort of mistake or he knows something we don't. Huh. You never know. You never know. But so, just waiting for not a lot of drivers still yet to pit here. We've got only 3 on the grid. King Pro Player, DJE Flat, and Curveball, the only 3 remaining. That will eventually, I think, turn over the lead of the Grand Prix to John the Prince, who has been able to pit and gotten ahead of Reimer on the medium tires as well. So he's done a bit of an undercut, John the Prince. Remember, he stopped at the first safety car. I say the first, because you never know. Curveball now under pressure from John the Prince going through turn 12. John the Prince, yeah, he's not going to be able to make a lunge here. I'm still assuming we're going to see some of these guys pit shortly, although King Pro Player and DJ Flat have not done that. Remember, King Pro Player on the hards, and I think that's kind of why we're seeing this, is some of these guys on the hard tires are just not going to need to come in. Down the pit straight they go. Curveball having to defend against John the Prince. John, I think, is going to have a look around the outside. Not really going to commit to it. Curveball a little slow getting on acceleration, but I think he's done better than John the Prince, and that's kind of what he was hoping for. Down the pit straight they go. Charlie Golf within a couple of tenths of DWCJ. A bit later on the brakes, you could tell that car, I think, really pushing through that first corner. Soft tires or not, that did not look comfortable for Charlie Golf. Go back along with his teammate John the Prince. 2.5, 3 tenths of a second between 4th and 5th. Oh, we've got a Sauber that's gone round. It's Johnny Damon. Exiting turn number 4. Either that or on the way into turn 5. It's actually, maybe has he just tried to kind of save the car and he's overcompensated for his slide? That seems to be more or less the case because that car was spun well towards the entry of turn 5. Oh, and I think he spun it again there. Yes, he has. Well, he's saved it that time. Oh, that's unfortunate for Johnny Damon. He was on pace for having a very good Grand Prix, and I don't think it's going to end that way. Still a lot of time left, and anything can happen on a track so, tightly contested as this, but you have to think for Johnny Damon, oh, well, you think about safety cars. I think Johnny Damon may have done that the hard way. Either that or he's really just lit up the rears and he's gone into the fence. Well, he's done that coming out of turn 10, I think probably towards the outside of the circuit. Yeah, I don't know the call there, but a full safety car on track. Pontiac Bandit now a drive-through for speeding under the safety car. A lot of drive-throughs tonight. It's looking like your average Wendy's. But I tell you what, and I'm not sure why that is. I've been noticing drive-thrus a lot more recently as well. I think maybe is it because are people getting the safety car messages at different times and they're just not able to slow down to Delta or what? Or maybe is it just pure error? I don't know. So that's going to pretty much allow King Pro Player to have mostly a free pit stop here. In fact, any of the guys still remaining that have yet to stop, who, you know, maybe have fit the hard tires, Curveball, DJ Flat, and King Pro Player, the three I'm looking at. But if you're a guy like John the Prince and Hemp Head, Pontiac Bandit as well, who pit under the first safety car, this is going to be a huge opportunity for you to get back on level pegging with the cars around you. Onto the soft tires for King Pro Player. Didn't expect that. So, that, I tell you what, this circuit not really high on degradation, let's get that clear, but 15 laps on the soft tires, that seems like a lot. And 15 laps as well, of course, we're going to have a couple under safety car here, that is obviously true. But 15 laps on the softs. Could there be rain towards the back end of the session? And that's what some of these guys are looking out for. Because Curveball has stayed out on track. He's got to do an additional 15 to the what's going to be 20 here in a minute. Is there rain forecasted towards the back end of this Grand Prix? And these guys are waiting and trying to put on some potential intermediate tires for when they need them. That's kind of what I'm thinking, because if you're a player like King Pro Player and DJ E Flat here, you want to make up ground before any rain rolls in. Sepulveda, R. Manson, you know, Charlie Golf, Pontiac Bandit as well, these guys that have put on softer compounded tires, aside from the hards. I mean, this could seriously... I know degradation is low at this track, but again, soft tires with 15 to go is almost never going to work. Like, I'm sorry, but that is not something you're going to see, especially in a 50% session like this, you know, where the tire wear rates are, you know, like doubled. Yeah, not really going to see that very much. Matter of fact, I did not expect to see the softs at all today. But we've got a fair few of drivers on them, and then Curveball on his 19-lap-old hards. I don't know what the future holds for this race, but it has to be said, something is brewing here in the CCRL Elites here. We've got something in store for this back end of the Grand Prix. We've got 15 laps to go at the line this time. Should be still some fantastic racing on tap. The question to me still is this tire strategy performed by Curveball, is that in store for some weather? Or is he really trying to put as much pace as he can to the rest of the grid behind him? So we're just waiting for Owa and John the Prince to rejoin the queue here. It appears John the Prince may have actually pit a second time here. Let's see. Yep, now on his third stop. Owa on his fourth. Once again, I look at the penalties again. A lot of guys choosing the softs here. I did not expect this, that's for sure. I mean, I'm not the sharpest tool in the shed by any means. I mean, few fries short of a Happy Meal. Insert metaphor here. Few pieces short of a Lego set, but I mean, come on now. Something is different about this. If we're seeing this many guys fit the soft tires. I would understand it if we had a safety car and then maybe like 10 to go. Okay, we'll get close enough to that once the safety car comes in here. I mean, you know, give or take 15 laps. Safety car now in this lap officially. But still, that's a lot for softs in any scenario. Well, the safety car will be in this time by. And we're just waiting. How will Curveball defend against King Pro Player? Coming to the line here. King Pro Player, fresh softs. DJ E Flat, fresh softs. Reimer on the 5-lap Old Hards, in which he's just stopped for recently. Stayed out on track. Green flag, back in the air. Curveball tries to smack the throttle on the way out. He's actually spun his tires quite significantly. King Pro Player down to the inside. He'll have to hope and pray that there's no sort of evasive maneuver from Curveball. Nearly 2x2 as they stack up through the corner. DJ E Flat now getting around Curveball. Now the top two drivers both on softs. Curveball still to the inside. Reimer falls in behind. Oh! Spins right in front of Reimer. Contact made and Curveball tumbles down the order. Thank goodness for Reimer that ghosting was on. That is a certified Code Brown moment just then. Even when ghosting's on, as a driver, you see ghosting no matter what. You see a car spinning in front of you. Yeah, that's going to be not fun to look at, that's for sure. But King Pro Player now leads the grid by 1.5 seconds. Reimer in third place, trying to hunt down DJ E Flat to kind of come a full circle moment here and have everything start end as they've started, as the Mercedes at the top two. That would be probably ideal to say the least. Sepulveda up 5 positions, still on a 3-second time penalty. Let's not forget about that, which is quite significant considering we only have one other guy on a 3-second penalty, which surprises me. What the I don't know what's just happened there. But Pontiac Bandit now side by side with Merck. I think it was their contact there with somebody around the line. Owa now trying the outside of Merck as they make their way out of turn 14 and down the pit straight they go. Again, no DRS until next time by. So Merck ducks out of line there. He'll get taken by Owa. Oh, and there's the rain. There is the rain that we were expecting. King Pro and this is exactly why we've seen guys pit. Well, this kind of surprises me because we're seeing the rain. Why did we see these fellas pit when they knew rain was on the way? Wouldn't they have just stayed out on the compounds that they were and then have gone, you know, to the intermediates when necessary? That surprises me a lot. But now the question is how long will it take for the track to be reined in, you know, to be wet enough for the intermediate tires? I can tell you already, drivers were struggling with acceleration. Now, even more. DJ E Flat has nearly had a bit of a tank slapper there coming out of turn 10. Sorry, that was turn 9 at that point. Anyways, you can already start to see, not necessarily puddling, but the raindrops starting to collect on the ground. Do we see our drivers pit this time by for the intermediates as they make their way? And let me tell you something, I feel for Curveball, because if it hadn't have been for that incident the previous time by, this would have absolutely have suited him. But you can see, oh, and I think King Pro Player may have stayed out a little too long. You can see he was struggling with acceleration coming out of turn 14. DJ is in, Reimer's in, Sepulveda in, DWCJ in, Manson and Charlie Golf have decided to stay out. Everybody and their mother, except for 1 or 2, have decided to pit this time by. Pontiac Bandit a tenner for speeding into the pit lane. King Pro Player stays out, but how long can he stay competent? Look at this, it's an absolute ice rink out here, as Manson and Charlie Golf nearly slide off the track going into the first quarter. They know, and I think deep down they've accepted this may have been a mistake. Bit of a Lando Norris maneuver, this one, but the question is, King Pro Player, can he keep the car safe for another lap here? As the drivers behind them, of course, putting on intermediate tires. That's what the goal has been. King Pro Player, you can see this car is struggling. 5th gear and still some wheel spin, and he's still got to get around half the track. This is a massive, massive moment here. We look at this for King Pro Player. If this is a mistake for him, and he doesn't go on to win this race, and it comes down to, you know, championship battles at the back end of the season, this is where it starts here. We'll still have 10 laps to go, you know, the next couple laps, but goodness me. And even still, I mean, I'll be fair with you here. King Pro Player has a 10-second, 11-second advantage on our Manson and that of Charlie Golf. You can see DJ E Flat on the intermediates, running circles around the fellas who don't. Who was that just then? It was John the Prince as a yellow flag. I think John the Prince is going right slow now. Or Manson. Oh, look at this! And now I think there was contact there between Manson and Charlie Gulf. Massive happenings now. King Pro Player into the pit lane as those with the intermediates are charging here. And I think it will be DJ E Flat to inherit the lead of the Grand Prix once King Pro Player finds his way in and gets those intermediate tires fitted. And there they are. This may have been a bit of a... I don't know how to put that, but that may have been a mistake from King Pro Player. No doubt to his pace, but I think he may have dropped the ball on strategy here. Every driver has their preference on when or when not to come into the pit lane, and I think King Pro Player, I think, was kind of right. That rain came on very, very fast, and actually got the track wet within, one lap of it beginning to rain. Usually it will take 2 or 3 laps around the circuit before the track is, wet enough to fit the intermediate tires. That's not what's happened here. King Pro Player figured it was going to take longer, and it didn't, and that caught him out by surprise, and I think anybody else who did stay out. So King Pro Player now down to 5th. Of course, he's on the intermediate tires, now level pegging with everybody else around him, and I think we're going to expect him to claw his way back to the top end of the grid. But the battle for the lead now between DJ E Flat and Reimer on the intermediate tires in the rain in Hungary. And what is now the closest battle on track as well. Through turn 12 they go. 7/10 of a second. Of course, DRS would have been disabled by now. By race control. That is the game's way of telling you that the track is officially labeled as wet. When that notice comes across your screen, I do not believe we're going to be seeing any more. I hope not, because if you have any DRS at this point, something's gone off here. That's for sure. Down the pit straight they go. It's 7/10 of a second between the top two. This is going to be a battle pretty much outright for the win now. Sepulveda is a net 8 seconds behind. DWCJ a net 4 or 5. King Pro Player an additional 3 behind that. It is truthfully mano a mano here for the win of the Hungarian Grand Prix, the opener. Interesting call by Pontiac Bandit to have gone on to the wets. He believes this could get heavier this rain. 2/10 of a second and still closing in. As Reimer has gone a little bit wide that time. Still looking for it. We do have, however, Manson and John the Prince. Look at this. John the Prince going to try to send it into the first corner now. I think he's got it as well. Good move by the McLaren if he's able to hold it, but Manson will have better acceleration around the outside, and it will be side by side, heading down the hill into turn 2 with 10 laps to go. John the Prince, the McLaren around the outside, and does get our Manson. Finally, great move. DJ E Flat only leads Reimer by 2/10 of a second as they make their way into turn 12. This is definitely the territory where drivers are made... Well, where am I going with that sentence? I don't really know, but this is a situation really here that turns boys to men, seriously, because you got DJ E Flat, a driver very quick in his own right, but you got Reimer, I think, 2nd place in the championship last season. You know you're amongst greatness if you're racing this guy, and, to be able to now hold him off for 10 laps after this is going to be one hell of a task, and I can't wait to see if DJ E Flat's going to be up to it. Down the pit straight they go. DWCJ tried to find a move around Sepulveda. Wasn't going to happen, but may have it now. Sepulveda's gone a bit cautiously there. DWCJ, again, has been kind of struggling with acceleration all race long. I don't really know what else there is to try to combat that. But, yeah, you can tell this guy is slightly struggling to get the power down. And even now in the rain, yeah, that's going to be very difficult. So, although Sepulveda's gone off track there temporarily, that could allow DWCJ to have a look. Even a look will kind of set a driver going wrong here in the rain. Through the chicane they go. I mean, they're at a proper snail's pace now, these two, as they make their way through. The rain's still falling. It's not going to be anywhere close for, full wet territory. I don't believe we're going to be getting that far into the rain, although it does appear that it's picked up a little bit. It is properly raining now, but I think it's going to be... Because you can see, the circuit right now is very shiny. Okay, kind of that layer of almost greasiness being built up. That's not enough for intermediates. When you start to see the track truly start puddling, that's when you know it's time for the full wet. You're not really seeing that right now. You may be seeing it a little bit. I can tell you, it is properly going down now. I don't believe yet this is still full wet category, especially as you can see, the driver's still evacuating a good bit of water behind them. But certainly it's on the minds of the drivers. But now, as we look at DJ E-Flat now trying to defend against Reimer, we'll check back with this in a minute. King Pro player and DWCJ. Oh, look at this. Down to the inside, King Pro has gotten around the Alpine in question. And now up to the 4th spot, could be 3rd. Once Sepulveda's penalty comes into play, and Sepulveda's gone deep into the braking zone, King Pro player looks like he's going to get this one on merit, and does. Nicely done for the Mercedes, back up to 3rd. Merck getting around Owa. They're side by side, heading down the hill through turn 2. Merck's going to go wide, nearly finds his way into the paint on the outside of the track. Holds on, although now does file in behind the Red Bull in question. It's 0.4 of a second still. DWCJ back to Sepulveda. Reimer to DJ, still half a second. The rain falling very good. Still, I don't think in position for full wets. And even then, I think the drivers are definitely going to start... well, they're going to try to hold on to these intermediates as long as they can. But what's important to me right now is looking at the timings for that of Pontiac Bandit. So let's see. His lap time now is a 1:36. We'll see what DJ E-Flats is at here. Yeah, he's going to be much quicker. He's going to be in the low 130s. That tells me we are still in the range for the intermediate tires. Once Pontiac Bandit really starts to claw in, and I will say this, he is gaining time to the back end of Hemphead. He is getting closer. He's shaving off a couple of tenths of a second here and there, as Merck side by side with Owa. I think Owa, something may have happened with him. That car was temporarily ghosted. Oh, big slide there for Sepulveda. Oh, I tell you what, I think the full wet's got to start coming into mind now. You don't really want to pit with 5 laps to go, but it's starting to look necessary here. Side by side they go, going through turn number 2. DWCJ not able to get the spot now. And oh, by the way, this is a battle outright for position between these two cars, as well as Merck, who's fallen off behind. Around the outside, in the wet, up the hill through turn 4. DWCJ, oh, I think he's going to have to give that spot back, though, because he's taken that position off track. Yeah, there we go. I think he's absolutely done the right thing there. And now you can almost start to begin to see the rain beginning to puddle. Oh, it is definitely coming down now. No doubt about it. We are getting very close to full wet category. Maybe a couple of laps time, but again, are they going to stay out as long as they can on the intermediates? Try their absolute best to not need to pit for the full wets. But it comes a point, safety over speed. Safety as in the ability to drive the car and get away with it in these conditions. That was a 1:32.4 for Reimer. For Pontiac Bandit, oh, I've not been able to see the time there, I'm afraid. But what I will say is this, he actually appears to be losing time back to Hemphead. Well, I say that, he's actually gone down about 0.7 of a second in just those last couple of corners. I don't know. It's a tough call. But at the line this next time will be 5 laps to go. I mean, this is really the sort of thing now you have to look at it and say, I mean, in real life, they easily would have red flagged this session by now. That's for sure. But the question is, will either of these drivers be able to hold on long enough to genuinely outright take the lead from one another? That is the big question on my mind, considering you can see how much they're skating around the circuit here. It becomes one of those questions, do they... Is it attack? Is it, defend? Is it just kind of play it safe until maybe is there a small break in the weather, or if, the car ahead makes the mistake? That is the huge question on Reimer's mind for the time being, because Reimer's in a position, with 5 laps to go right now. Is he in a spot where he just has to go out there and send it? It's too late to pit, even if you want the full wets, which at the moment look totally necessary. You just got to hold on and hope for the best. I think that is the main question on the mind of the Mercedes or Reimer. Still wheel spin even through 4th and 5th gear there. Down the hill into turn 2. This is the closest battle on track that we have. I'm still wondering why we saw so many of those guys pit under the safety car. You know, I'm sure the drivers would have known that the rain was on its way to have pit. You know, maybe it was their thought process, let's gain as much as we can on the softs until the rain happens. That would be my guess as to what's happening here. But still, 0.4 of a second between the top two. Only 3 cars on 3-second penalties. I will say this. It does appear, well, I think that's because Curveball's actually stopped. Curveball has been really, and now Hemphead, another driver, now I think wishing for the full wets. And Hemphead has picked up a tenner for speeding into the pit lane. The question is now when we start to see the laps getting quicker for those on the full wets compared to the intermediates. That's when it really starts to become a question to be asked. I think we're at this position now where we're just really not in the window to make it happen. Although, what I will say is this. We saw Pontiac Bandit running 36s. The intermediates have now fallen to 34s. Or have now been raised to 34s, I guess. I think the real question is Curveball this time. This is the lap to look out for. This is the lap to really determine if the wets are going to be worth going on to here. I don't think it's going to happen. I think should this rain have came in about 10 laps earlier than when it did, I think going on to the wets would have absolutely have happened, but it doesn't appear like that's going to be the scenario. Although, 10th and a half, 0.2 of a second between the top two. As DJ E-Flat still leads, Reimer still breathing down the neck of the Ferrari here. Any sort of mistake will be capitalized on as a yellow flag. I think has Curveball gone round. He's had a small bit of a spin somewhere along the line. I'm not quite sure. But at the line this time will be 3 laps to go. Can Reimer get up to DJ? Can DJ hold on? Out of turn 12. Big slide that time from the Ferrari. Reimer has the outside. He's not going to have a look this time. It's still a 10th and a half between the two. Through turn 12. Through 13. And I'm actually wondering if the game would give, despite the V-carb ahead being ghosted, I'm wondering if it'll give that sort of slipstream effect to the Ferrari ahead. I'm assuming it would. Down the pit straight they go. I would argue DJ has gotten the better exit that time. 134.67 as Reimer now having a look to the inside. Not going to have it. Well, I think the V-carb actually may have kind of gotten in his way a little bit. I think he saw, he wanted to overtake the Ferrari into the corner. The V-carb having made the dive as well, I think kind of messed with him a little bit there. Could absolutely be the case. But again, 3 laps to go here at the Hungaroring. What a race it's been. What a change in pace it's been. From the quick laps we were running before to now full wet conditions, despite these drivers still bravely running the intermediates. I would have crashed probably 7 times by now. These fellas still battling for the lead. And remember, we head to Las Vegas next time out. Matter of fact, I've had in a league race, I have had a race in Vegas become full wet. That was something. There is no grip on that track at all. Even in the dry. But anyway, not the point. Vegas next week. A track that's going to see a lot of overtaking. Who enters Las Vegas with the momentum? That is the question at hand. 2 laps to go at the line this time by. It is a 10th and a half, 0.2 of a second at most, between Reimer and DJ E-Flat. And I have to say, I think Reimer has to do it this time by, or maybe next time by going down into the first corner, because that is really the best place on the track where he will be able to make that move happen. If he doesn't, he'll have to choose the hard way somewhere else, and that is not a move I think Reimer wants to make. Down the pit straight they go. You can see his battery being used now. Reimer, will he have a look at DJ this time? Going into the first corner, DJ holds the outside. Reimer, will he be late on the brakes? No. 2 laps to go. Exiting the first quarter, DJ, I think, has gotten a much worse exit into turn 1. Reimer now, does he have a look round the outside? Yes, he will. Will he be able to make it happen? Round the outside they go, going through turn 2, side by side. Reimer has the better line through turn 3. Look how respectful they're attempting to be. It's difficult, even in the best conditions at this track, and through the wet. Well, they've kept it clean and what's the word, cordial for now? They've done just that, but how long will that be able to remain? Exiting turn 5, Reimer having a lot of wheel spin that time. Through the 6 and 7 chicane, and the question remains, which one will make the mistake first? The game-changing, race-altering mistake. That is the question at hand, and for the time being, it looks like it could be either one of them, and it could be neither of them. Exiting the corner. Oh! DJ E-Flat has made a massive error going through turn 11. Reimer's going to try it around the outside. Will he be able to have it through 12? Does he hold on? Yes, he does. Side by side into turn 13 for the penultimate time. Maybe a bit of contact there. We've got one of the Alpines off at the chicane. It doesn't look like it'll slow down the race any. Out of the final corner, down the pit straight for the final time. Last lap of the Hungarian Grand Prix. Reimer behind by now 0.6 of a second. He's not going to be close enough. Unless he's really got to work for it. That is the big question in mind for Reimer. He's got to seriously send it now on DJ E-Flat, and I think realistically his opportunity may have already passed him here. Through turn 2 for the final time. Turn 3 after that. DJ E-Flat had the big error coming out of turn 11. That, I think, is going to be the next opportunity for Reimer, if it, in fact, does happen. I'm really getting to the back end of my recording here, nearly into the 57-minute range out of 60. That's getting close to not good. Into the chicane for the final time. 6 and 7. 0.4 of a second the gap, and closing. Reimer could still have one, maybe two last-ditch opportunities here. Through turn 9, through 10, and then 11 after that. Coming into Sector 3 for the final time, DJ E's gonna push a little bit wide. He'll cut back to the inside, similar like he's done. Reimer on the throttle. Will he be able to outbrake? No. Will he switch to the right side? He'll certainly try. Will DJ E try to defend? Yes. Reimer now to the inside. He's going to try it to the inside of 13, and look at him go. In the wet. Will he be able to hold on? Wheel to wheel. Front wing to front wing. Through 14 for the final time. What a way to kick off the season. DJ E-Flat will come out of the final corner ahead of the Mercedes and Reimer and win the Hungarian Grand Prix in dramatic fashion. DJ E-Flat. Whoa. That was a finish for the ages. Welcome to CCRL. If you're only just joining us now, where have you been? But it is that of DJ E-Flat taking the victory. Reimer second. King Pro Player third. Good way to rebound for King Pro Player. Back up to that third spot. Another driver, I think, definitely in contention for potentially a championship here. But the spoils go to the prancing horse from Maranello of DJ E-Flat. Fantastic, fantastic race from him. It'll be John the Prince crossing the line. Manson to follow. Curveball and Hemphead after that. What an incredible race this has been. And by the way, we head to Las Vegas next week for Hotspot. It has been a pleasure joining you once again here in the CCRL for the new season. And boy, if that's anything to go by, we're going to have one hell of a season on the way. Thank you for joining us, and we'll see you next time.